Hello, everyone. It's One Handed Media with. Uh,
I, Merrick D'Amato from Narwhal Entertainment.
Thank you. How are you doing today?
Pretty good, pretty good. Can't complain. Yourself?
Can't complain.
Good, good. May I just say I'm honored to be asked to appear on the show.
Yes, and I've understood you've watched some of my things,
hmm
and I've watched some of your things. Now, what was the idea behind Narwhal Entertainment? If I said that name correctly.
Yep, that is correct. Do you mean the idea behind naming it Narwhal Entertainment, or the idea behind starting to make YouTube videos?
The show.
Um, I kind of it's not that exciting. I kind of just decided to do it one day. I just started making the videos one day. I think the first game was Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. That was the first one I did.
And that's how I found you.
Oh.
Because randomly I was looking through Harry Potter stuff and I just stumbled upon your channel. I thought your commentary was excellent. You made me laugh a couple times.
I always happy to hear that. And seeing as how I started with Philosopher's Stone, obviously next step was Chamber of Secrets, and I just the original Let's Plays, by the way, they are no longer available. I have done reduxes of them since, but the original ones are no longer available. But I kind of decided that you need a niche. Well, when you're doing videos on YouTube, you need a niche. You can't just do the most popular games because other people are already doing the most popular games, and you're just going to be competing with
You'll get
PewDiePie and
flooded out.
Markiplier and pardon?
You'll get flooded out.
Yeah, like PewDiePie and Markiplier, especially. Like a lot of respect to Markiplier, but who's going to watch my small channel when they can watch him, right?
Right.
So I decided to focus on like games based on movies and stuff.
So, like, for example, would that be old movies, new movies? Like, what's your
Uh,
criteria for
Generally,
games you
at
choose?
least PS1 era.
Ah,
Because you
okay.
go back further than that, you don't have quality control.
I see.
Because
I, and I would agree with you.
then we're getting into ET on the Atari 2600, and no thank you. That game is famously
Good
the way
movie, but terrible game. Not
like that
bad
game was
for.
responsible for the video game crash.
It,
The original video game crash was
it wasn't
spurred
bad
on
for
by
someone who made it in about 3 months on record, if I remember correctly.
yeah 3 months, but that doesn't factor in the budget that
Yeah.
that it cost to make that game.
Now we're like getting into billions of dollars.
Um,
I'm
it was
from.
about 25 million,
I'm.
which today comes out to 79 million adjusted for inflation. So, yeah.
I live in Canada, so.
Ah, me too.
Whereabouts, if you don't mind me
Um,
asking.
well, I'm originally from Wolfville in Nova Scotia, but I'm currently living in Montreal.
Ah, I live in Newfoundland.
Oh, nice.
I
Fellow
was.
Maritimer.
Yeah. I was born here, moved to Toronto, and then moved back just 3 years ago.
Oh, cool, cool.
So it's like, going from a big city to practically everyone knows you. It's kind of like, because I have family members down here,
Hmm.
but for accessibility purposes, it's horrible.
I can
I
imagine
can't, I
cities have
can't,
problems, but
I
they're
can't
generally
even get
ramps at
to
least.
the post office.
Uh,
It's that bad. Like, we don't even have a wheelchair accessible taxi.
hmm.
The only place we get that is St. John's. But anyway,
And
that's not what you guys are here for. And so, is there any retro games that have caught your eye recently?
um, define retro.
Like,
What years are we
remasters.
considering retro?
Like PS1, all the way to the Game Boy, if you can remember that.
Well, two of my favorite games of all time actually fall into that category. Um, these are Perfect Dark on the N64, which is my number one favorite first-person shooter of all time, and Gabriel Knight's Sins of the Fathers, which was a Sierra PC adventure game, which just blew me away.
And I can remember playing Yu-Gi-Oh on the Game Boy and things like that. But I do have every retro console you could think of
Do you have
in
an
my
Atari
bedroom.
Do you have an Atari Jaguar?
Not that far back, but I'm looking into picking one up actually. But I hear they're terrible for AV stuff, and
Hmm.
I'm trying to look for one that is modded so I can just hook it up and play it on my current television.
That might be difficult because connecting a lot of those old RGB cables to a modern TV is not the easiest job.
I know, and neither is getting a CRT television.
I remember I thought it was the most back when in the N64 days. I remember when it was. I thought it was the best like the best next level thinking when they got a TV. My parents got a television with the RGB hookups on the front. It's like, oh, we don't have to like scramble behind blindly plugging in cables in the back anymore. Huzzah!
Yeah, the RF thing just wasn't cutting it no more.
Hmm.
I mean, I remember playing my Super Nintendo and I had those hookups. Oh my god. That was horrible.
Then they had those like fork ones on certain one on AC adapters for a bit.
And I'm like, okay, this will get better in about soon, I hope. But then the SNES came out and it was like a landslide of video games.
Hmm. Some good ones too.
Where
I
I'm
mean,
from,
Maximum
where
Carnage.
we're from, pardon me, a $70 game now would cost us $90
Hmm.
just for the standard edition. And I think that's a bit ludicrous, but I understand why they do that.
Kind of makes you understand video game piracy to an extent.
What is your opinion on that?
If a game has just come out,
Hold on, but I'm not getting any sound coming through for you for some odd reason.
really? Can you hear me?
Oh, that's why.
What happened?
My bad. My computer just decided to mute you for some odd reason.
Tech hiccups.
Yeah. Say that again?
So my opinion on video game piracy?
Uh, what's your opinion on the price of video games
Oh,
now?
price of video games. I wouldn't mind if I knew a single red cent was going to the people who actually made the games as opposed to the producers. It's just going to some executive.
Because here, it's $90 per game now. While in America, it's $80 per game.
Which is still too much. Still too much.
I completely agree.
It's very good reasoning for piracy, I think.
Yes, but we do not condone piracy.
I mean, it is given how video game companies don't care about archiving and anything and preservation of old games. It's really the only way you can get some games is piracy.
Yes, which is a darn shame.
For example, I'm not sure why anyone would want to play this, but let's say you wanted to play Biker Mice from Mars on the PS2. You could either pirate it, or you could pay someone who already has the game, so no money's going to the company. You could pay them $1,500.
Or
It's an easy choice.
or you could use an emulator to play it too.
Yes. I'm quite familiar with emulation. I use several.
I use several as well, but I still like to pick up the original copies if I can. Like, remasters are great, but why are they so expensive?
Because that's what things cost now, unfortunately.
Like, okay, take Konami, for example. They're coming out with Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Years, which is 14 Yu-Gi-Oh! Games that are from the Game Boy all the way up to the Game Boy Advance era. And they're charging like $49.99. That's on the US side. But when you're actually looking at the Canadian side, it's close to $60. Or something like that.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's not great. Especially because you could provided you still have a functioning Game Boy, you could probably find all of those games for less than that altogether.
I do have the original hardware, but I don't have the game cartridges anymore. So, like, I didn't pay MSRP for, like, when I buy games now, I usually get them at the most expensive rate, so I don't have to buy the DLC later. When the data for the DLC is already on disc. That makes me angry too.
Yeah, especially and there are games like you ever play Fable 3?
love Fable 3.
They had DLC for Fable 3, and some of it was free DLC, which I don't understand the concept of. But it was all tied into Games for Windows Live. Now, back then, I actually paid like for the Trader's Keep and Understone DLC. I actually bought those, and I played them. They were fine. And then Games for Windows Live went offline,
So you were out of
so
money.
you can no longer access the DLC at all.
Which is bullshit. Pardon my French, but, you know.
So for that one, I actually did. I found a pirated copy that actually makes the DLC work again. And, well, there you go. I could install my disc and have an incomplete game with the version I paid for. Or I could get this version and have what I actually paid for. It's not a hard choice.
Yeah, I'm a WWE fan. Like,
Ooh.
not hardcore, but I love their games.
Got a favorite wrestler?
I like Undertaker, Stone Cold, Triple H, when they used to do that.
My two favorites unfortunately have passed away. Andre the Giant, and of course, as a Canadian, Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Yes.
He was the best.
And so was Bret Hart, too. So sad
Hitman.
about Owen, though. And, you know, WWE could make a killing if they would just re-release SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, or SmackDown Shut Your Mouth, or the old WWF games. But they aren't going to do that because legal trouble.
Yep.
I would love to be able to fire up, you know, those games on newer hardware. I also love Resident Evil too. That series hits home.
Well,
for me.
but those aren't really remasters. Like the RE2 and RE3, those are just from the ground up remakes. That's a little different. That's a different story.
Yeah. But I mean, I love the remakes too.
Did you know about Resident Evil? Devil May Cry actually started life as Resident Evil 4.
I heard that. And then it spun off in its own thing. Which was rather fun.
Oh, it's one of my favorite franchises, gaming-wise.
No, I have to
That
ask.
and Tenchu. And Onimusha, I'm a big Onimusha fan, too.
Yeah. I have to ask you, where do you see the gaming industry in 5 years?
That's a tough one, actually. Because I have the answer that I'd like to believe, and then there's the answer I actually believe. The answer I actually believe is at the rate it's going, I foresee another video game crash.
I do see that as well.
I don't see what's happening now being sustainable, because we can't have, like... Because every game's trying to be like a live service now, right?
And I hate that.
And the thing with live services is you can't conceivably play more than one of those. It's like when we had everyone competing with World of Warcraft back in the, with everyone having their own freaking online RPG. We can't do that because unless, like, for outlier cases, the DC fans are going to go to DC Universe, the Star Wars fans are going to play Old Republic, but mostly they're going to go to World of Warcraft.
Yes.
it's kind of the same thing happening again, with
or
the exception
Final
of like
or Final
fandoms.
or Final Fantasy 14, for example.
Mm, yeah.
You know, I love my Final Fantasy games, but when you put them behind a paywall,
Mm-hmm.
like they did with Final Fantasy 14, for example, I have the game, but then I have to buy a subscription for it, which is totally ridiculous
Yeah,
because I can't afford it.
yeah. I remember World of Warcraft's like $30 a month thing,
I
like 15. I
remember
mean, it
that
was
too, because
monthly payments. It was,
my brother was a big World of Warcraft guy before he passed of cancer, unfortunately.
condolences.
So
But
I still pick up games to remember him.
I did have the moment when I used to play World of Warcraft where it just hit me. I'm not having fun. Like I'm doing this. I'm not having fun playing this game. I'm paying every month to play this, and I am not having fun. And then I stopped playing that day.
Can't we just have games that are fun? I did see a couple movies that were interesting.
Oh,
I did see Assassin's Creed. I thought it was okay. Not great, but okay.
it focused on the stuff that no one actually cares about.
Yeah. And I did see Mortal Kombat. That was fun.
Which one?
The new one.
Ah,
I did like that.
I prefer the old one personally.
I agree too.
I like ridiculous Mortal Kombat. For me, Mortal Kombat was Mortal Kombat when you tear a dude in half and you'd have like 8 pelvises. That was Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I know. That to me was Mortal Kombat 2. And
Hmm.
what do you think of Final Fantasy lately?
I'm not really a Final Fantasy fan, to be honest.
Okay.
I mean, I played Advanced Tactics and I know the characters that showed up in Kingdom Hearts, but I've never really been into turn-based RPGs as a whole, so it's not really my thing.
Alright. I'm more of a card enthusiast, like Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon trading card game.
I actually do play Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yu-Gi-Oh is good.
I have a Dark Magician deck.
I like dragon types. So like Kaiba and those machine types.
Machine types are cool.
I can't believe some of the cards though are literal cars.
Hmm.
Like
Well, I mean, with machine types, it's gonna happen.
yeah.
There's a train one. There's one that's like some demon freight train as well. I think it's a fiend though.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of a question to ask.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
What do you think of the new Star Wars stuff, if you're into that?
Uh, I like the Mandalorian. I like Book of Boba Fett because it took a character who was just a punchline originally and actually made him into something.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
I don't even think the prequels were that good. So people are like, "Oh, Star Wars sucks now." It's like it sucked since 1999, guys. Like this isn't new.
I would agree. The original trilogy, untouchable.
Which, well, unfortunately, we can't get that anymore because
I
it's only the
know.
special editions now. When my VCR stopped working, I stopped being able to watch my my. That was a day for me.
I know. I was so angry when everything was special edition that, you know?
But there is the despecialized editions, which can be found through the use of piracy, and you can watch the actual versions of the films. Another benefit of piracy.
Which I rather enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if people actually take the time, there's some good stuff. Everything has a place in the world. It's what we do with those things that matter most.
I mean, I'd argue cancer doesn't really have a place in the world, but it's something we have to deal with.
No, that I disagree with. Cancer does not have a place in the world.
Exactly. Like, I'd also argue nuclear weapons don't really have a place in the world.
But sadly, that's where we're heading.
Like, the only benefit is to threaten to use it to get someone else not to use it. Right?
And sorry if my woke rant got a little unhinged.
It's just wasn't expecting it.
I know, but I didn't expect to go on that rant either.
It's fair. It's fair.
And I'm sorry if that hurt you in any way.
Just the people who tend to spout that, they'd also be against you. You realize, right?
Yes.
Like, just be careful who you're allying yourself with. They might not view you as an ally.
Right.
What'd you say your favorite video game is?
My favorite video game? We're going back to an old one with this one.
That's fine.
I was playing one of the old Star Trek NES games.
Nice.
And I really like Super Star Wars.
Super Star Wars is good. You play the Indiana Jones equivalent?
Yes. Those were good too.
What's really good? I don't know if you played it, but for Star Trek, I highly recommend Hazard Team. What's the one? What's the one I'm thinking about? Elite Force. Star Trek Elite Force.
Ah, yes.
That is a good game. That is a really good
I do
game.
have an emulator for it.
I can play. I play it on GOG, but I with Elite Force. I was recording that one back when I was doing my Let's Play, and a video corrupted.
Oh no.
And my thought wasn't, crap, I gotta go redo that. But it was like, oh yay, I get to replay that. I was actually excited to replay that section of the game. It's that good. The second one, not so much, but it's fine. Then there's Klingon Honor Guard, which is ridiculous. It's really hard to get working and not really worth it.
I just started playing Star Trek Online again.
Ooh.
After about 10 or so years.
And your account was still there, or did you make a new one?
I I linked my Steam account to it.
Ah, gotcha.
I forgot my login and password. So I was like, I'm gonna nuke it and just hook up my Steam account to it.
I'm not really a Star Trek fan myself. I like Wrath of Khan, but that's about it.
I remember watching some of the old Star Wars movies too. Back from the early 90s.
Oh, the like the Ewok adventure and all that.
Yeah,
Oh, those were weird. Haven't thought about those in a while. Then there was the animated Ewoks TV show,
agreed.
and the droid show for some reason. Those are Canadian. Those are Nelvana. There was a Clone Wars cartoon, the first Clone Wars cartoon, the one that was 2D, by Gendy Totorovsky, the guy who did Samurai Jack. That was amazing.
I miss Cartoon Network being around. I miss uh, Teletoon being around. Yeah, you know, heck, I even miss 4Kids being around.
YTV.
Yeah, like the old YTV. I
With
still
Vortex on
remember.
Saturdays.
I still remember watching Power Rangers when I was little too.
Power Rangers. Never got around to watching that as a kid. Never got around to watching Power Rangers as a kid.
Like, I'm talking about the original stuff.
Yeah, Mighty Morphin.
Yeah, those were good times.
Yeah. We actually got some of the best DC material, show wise, back in those days. The Batman animated series, still,
Now you're talking.
still the best. Batman, the Superman animated series, Batman
Matrix.
Beyond, amazing stuff.
Matrix animated was pretty good too.
What animated?
The Matrix.
Oh yeah, but that wasn't a show. The Animatrix.
No, it was The Matrix, but it was animated.
Yeah, the Animatrix.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that was a movie.
Invader Zim,
Invader Zim was a great one.
classic. Um, Dexter's Laboratory,
Gargoyles.
The Animaniacs,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Dragon Ball Z was big too.
Mm-hmm. Actually, currently watching an anime on at the moment called Big O.
On what? How you watching it? Streaming it or?
I'm streaming it. I don't have the money for anime box sets. Those things are ridiculously expensive for no freaking reason.
What service?
I'm watching it on 9 Anime, actually.
When I went there, it said their servers were down. Were they back up?
I think they're back up now, yeah. But Big O's a fun one. It's basically a cyberpunk film noir with James Bond Batman piloting a mecha.
And do you remember Gundam Seed?
I remember hearing about it. I did not actually watch it. any Gundam, really.
It's quite. It's okay. I didn't really get into it, but my friends were like, "You gotta watch it."
Yeah,
So I
fair enough.
watched some of it. I got the crux of it, but didn't really like it.
Hmm. Berserk.
Uh,
Berserk's a classic.
do you remember robot battles or whatever they call them?
Robot battles.
Robot Wars.
No, I do not.
It was about this show. Okay, there was 3 teams.
Was this the one where they built actual robots to fight each other?
Yes,
Yes, I do remember that one.
and it was so good. I actually wanted to build one and see if I could get on the show, but that never happened.
I remember they had one which was a ramp. Well, it was just a ramp, and its whole thing was flipping other robots over. Because if the robot gets flipped over, they lose.
Yeah.
And all it did was that.
And I remember what was the guy's name? The robot that looked like a Grim Reaper, almost, but it was more like a crushing things. It would pick it up and set it on fire and just crush it and throw it into the pit. I believe that was one of the house robots. Do you remember?
I do not remember that.
It was a game show by YTV with Wink Yahoo and. Do you remember?
Never really watched a lot of game shows.
Do you remember Video and Arcade Top 10?
I remember watching some of an episode. I think I heard about Super Smash Melee.
And that's how I got my video game fix back in the day.
Nice.
Because I was just like 5 or 6 at the time.
I remember going into a Blockbuster and renting an N64. Could rent the console.
Those were awesome days. Like, you really think about it. Gaming brings everyone together in some way, shape, or form, whether it be the music, whether it be the games themselves. And I just hate to see the direction it's going in now.
Well, it's all about money now.
Yep. Which is really a shame, like, you know?
I mean, it was always about money to a certain extent, but it's also they give you a good exchange for the money.
Yes, but now it's like dog shit. There's multiple bugs and there's no quality control anymore.
Like I was playing, I think I told you before we started the recording, I was playing Devil May Cry 5, and I had to stop because Mission 17 would just crash to desktop every single time. And that means you can't complete the game, right?
Right.
You can't finish the game at that point, and that's not fair.
That is not fair at all.
Especially, and this is the part that really pissed me off, it's enough into the game and enough into playtime that it would be after Steam's refund policy is run out.
That bites.
Which is really hard not to look at suspiciously. And
I
there's stuff like
mean,
Arkham Knight being not optimized for PC at all.
and you know, you know how large my Steam library is?
I'm imagining quite large.
It's over 1,600 games
Wow.
that I use that I got through SteamDB with their extension. So you download the extension, and then you go to the free packages list, and it will download 30 games executable every hour.
Jesus Christ. That's a lot.
Yeah. And that's how I've been filling out my Steam library. Because at the rate that it is going, we're headed for a ginormous crash.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to preserve as many games as I can before that happens. I did tell you about Yu-Gi-Oh! Early years, right?
Yes, you did.
Worth a
With
pick
all
up.
the I'm not really a fan of the Yu-Gi-Oh games personally.
Games.
I'm not really a fan of the video games for Yu-Gi-Oh.
I will be picking it up anyway.
Fair enough.
Just because it's a easier way for me to play it instead of having a bunch of cards laying around. And then losing said cards.
Well, you don't have to bet your cards.
No, I mean actually losing my cards. I forgot where I placed them.
Ah,
That
fair.
that kind of that kind of losing.
Just they never did the Yu-Gi-Oh game that I wanted to play.
Which was
Well, like you play as the monsters.
ah
Like in the show when they have the holograms come out, it's like yeah, that's what I want to do. I don't want to play
there
like
is a game
someone putting down cards. I want to play as Dark Magician.
there is a game like that.
Is there?
It's called Forbidden Kingdoms. It's a
Forbidden Kingdom.
GameCube game though.
Ooh. Forbidden. Oh.
I do enjoy the conversation we're having.
I just found a new game I need to look up. Look into.
I recommend emulating it if you can't get a physical copy.
That was already the plan. Got Kaiba's ridiculous coat there on the cover.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
A
I also
false found.
liked Duel of the Roses too on the PS2. It's still a card game-esque, but it's more of a like you get to see the monsters in 3D and all that kind of fun stuff. The
Yeah, because
story is
like
good though.
that's at least something. Because even if it's just playing the card game, I want to see like playing the card game. We can't have the monster holograms, obviously, but in a video game, I should see the monster show up, right?
Yeah, and that's why I led you in that direction, because I knew you would like something like that.
I'll look into these games. Been meaning to do a Yu-Gi-Oh game on my channel for a while. But the deck-based ones are really kind of hard for me to get into because I know the cards I like and they're never in the games.
And do you mind sharing with me what those cards are?
Pardon?
You mind sharing with
Oh, of
me
course.
what the cards are?
Well, I play a Dark Magician deck. One of my favorite cards, because it's just an absolute, basically broken yet somehow legal card, is called Palladium Oracle Mahai, which is a light monster. Same stat block as Dark Magician, 2500 attack, defense. But it has a few fun bonuses. The second you draw him, you get to play him. You don't need to sacrifice to play Mahad. He just comes out.
Ah,
If he attacks a dark attribute monster, he does double damage.
that's sweet.
And when he gets sent to the graveyard, you get to summon Dark Magician for free.
Sweet.
So that's an amazing one. And then the other one, and this card, it's I call it my nuclear option. It's called Magic Cylinders, with a specifically plural, not Magic Cylinder, Magic Cylinders. Where if you it's a trap card. If you activate it, you get to add Magic Cylinder from your deck directly to the field and activate it. And you know how Magic Cylinder works, right? The damage gets done back to the opponent. No, doubles it. With this one, it doubles it.
So you're looking at a monster's damage, whatever it may be, and doubles it.
I had a dual end and one turn with this card.
You could win the game like that.
Because I had it down. I had no monsters. My opponent was like, "All right, I got this guy with 2,000 attack. I'm gonna attack you directly." Flip up, and now he's dealing 4,000 to himself.
If you are looking into like editing software, I recommend CapCut. Because that's how I've been able to do shorts quite regularly.
I use Wondershare personally.
I've never heard of that.
I can't really even say much to recommend it. It's just what I've been using for 10 years now. And I've been using it consistently for 10 years. I don't know how to move on to anything else. Because I've been doing this, by the way. This year is my 10th year doing this channel.
Congrats.
Thank you.
I
did Ultimate Alliance for my special.
And I'm close to my 5th, so...
Congrats to you as well.
Yeah.
You got a special planned?
No. I'm waiting till 1,000 or maybe 500 subscribers.
I have a 1,000 subscriber Let's Play plan. I'm going to be doing Assassin's Creed. Probably going to be doing Assassin's Creed.
I'm glad to meet you, by the way.
Likewise.
Because I don't have very many friends to, like, play games with much anymore, because they're doing their own thing. And we're YouTubers. Everyone, like, just kind of thinks, meh, you guys aren't going to make any money. But the friendships we make, that's the most important thing.
My whole channel's not monetized.
Mine isn't either.
I just do this for fun.
Yeah. Like, I see you as one of my friends now.
Well, likewise.
And if there's any animes or shows that I think you might be interested in, I'll send them your way. Is there any Yu-Gi-Oh cards you don't like?
A lot of Gravekeepers I don't like. Because, like, Necro Valley especially. I don't like cards that essentially basically stop me from being able to play the game for the duration of the game. It's like,
So
oh, you cannot summon cards that aren't Gravekeepers. Well, all right, fold then. Fuck it. There's nothing I can do.
and there's cards like Jinzo, and there's cards like Graceful Charity, and if they get you into a loop, like I play Master Duel, and I've got a Blue Eyes deck, right? And I use the Blue Eyes Max Dragon, which, if a monster's in defense mode, it does double damage to the person that owns it.
That's a rough one.
And
There is a card. There's a card which I don't understand why it exists.
And the normal attack string is 4,000 points of damage.
Ooh, yeah, that's the duel. That's the game over.
And it's unaffected by traps, spells, or anything.
Oof.
So if that card gets played, you better have an Exodia in your hand. Otherwise, bye-bye. And,
There's a card that exists, but I don't understand why it exists. Because I cannot think of a use for this card. It's called Trading Places. If your LP is higher than your opponent's, switch your LP with your opponent.
why would you want to do that?
I don't know. Now, I'll admit, if someone played that card against me, I'd be a little on edge, because I'm thinking they have something planned, and I can't figure out what it is, so I'm on my toes. But I think it's just a silly card.
And I'm thinking, okay, why did they come up with this set when the previous set has no support whatsoever, but yet they give him support, then the following set they don't give the support.
I have a card like that in my deck. I mainly use it for tributes. It's called Edda the Sun Magician, where you can summon from your deck a spellcaster with exactly not no greater than, just exactly 1,500 attack or defense. Has to be a spellcaster, has to have 15 attack or defense. And it can't be another Edda the Sun Magician.
I wonder if you can help me with something later.
Sure.
I am terrible with deck building. Absolutely terrible with deck building. Now, I normally play it online. Like Duel Masters or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even get a move out. Because my decks are so bad. Like, I'm locked out within the first move. They got me pinned down. I can't do nothing. Because my cards are so bad.
A good word of advice for that, then, is start with a starter deck. Like the Kaiba starter deck or the Yu-Gi-Oh starter.
I do have one. I actually call it Blue Eyes Solo. And that's where I keep all my Blue Eyes cards. So if I don't get Blue Eyes or any Blue Eyes that is out, I can't win.
You're gonna want at least a few white stones of legend.
I do have those in there.
Okay.
But, I would like to let you have a look at my deck to see where the problem is. Because I don't
Alright,
know.
sure. I can help you with that. Like, you need. What you need are weaker monsters, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Because you need stuff you contribute.
Once we're done with the interview here, we'll get on to that.
And a Swords of Revealing Light.
That I don't think I have enough shards for. Or
'Cause
gems, as they call them, to build the card. But I'll check if I have the card.
Because you know what Swords of Revealing Light does, right?
Yeah.
That's a massive help.
Yeah. So, with that being said, thank you for coming on the channel.
Thank you for having me.
Hopefully we'll be on soon, or hear from each other soon.
Indeed.
I like you a lot.
Likewise.